Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, students. Our new topic is thrombosis. From UHS point of view, yeah, thrombosis is very important topic with respect to MCQs. So there are many MCQs are hidden in this topic. So now we are going to discuss detail of thrombosis. First of all, you should understand what is thrombosis. Thrombosis actually is the formation of blood clot inside the blood vessel or the heart, which can partially or completely obstruct the flow of blood. It means any clot formation inside the blood vessel or in the heart is known as is this phenomena is known as thrombosis. So what is thrombus? So the blood clot itself is known as thrombus. So thrombus can cause obstruction in blood vessel partially or completely. So it can completely cause the obstruction of blood vessel and the movement and the hindrance in the movement of blood. So after complete obstruction in the blood vessels, next organ can be damaged due to obstruction in the or due to least supply of the blood or due to ischemia and the hypoxic and due to ischemic and hypoxic conditions. So thrombosis is in normal circumstances, thrombosis is actually very dangerous for health. Thrombus can convert into embolism. So the next danger step is actually embolism formation. But now we are discussing about thrombosis. So thrombosis is actually condition associated with the with different factors. So what are the possible causes of thrombus formation in blood vessels? We will discuss in our next slide. So you should understand completely about the thrombosis. Thrombosis actually the formation of blood clot inside the blood vessels partially or completely. Obstruction may be partially or obstruction may be of completely to you should if anybody ask from you about thrombosis, you should add both word partially or completely. Partial obstruction or complete obstruction of blood vessel is actually thrombus formation. So actually platelets plays very important role in the thrombus formation. In normal circumstances, we have already discussed the role of endothelium, and in normal and abnormal circumstances we have already studied about the role of platelets. So major role in the thrombosis is platelet. Major responsibility of the platelets is involved in the thrombus formation. So platelets are actually main and major and initial component for thrombus formation. There are around 30 different types of protein present in our blood. These 30 different types of proteins are associated with the clot formation. But in normal circumstances, in normal body condition, or in case of no injury in the blood vessel in the body, blood clotting is actually dangerous for our circulatory system, or you can say the presence of clot in our circulatory system is also thrombus. So thrombus is not safe for body or for blood vessel. Thrombus can damage our organ or our tissue. Thrombotic condition is you can observe thrombotic condition in any hospitalized patient, or in any, or in heart attack patient. So there is actually thrombotic condition, or actually blood clotting condition. So clot formation of blood clot formation is actually thrombosis. Okay, so you should know enough about platelets and endothelium. There are usually three main causes of thrombus formation. So, first one is endothelial injury. We have already discussed that the endothelium activate itself after injury. So, endothelium activation plays very important role in the formation of thrombus. On the other hand, abnormal blood flow. Abnormal blood flow means a disturbance in blood flow, disturbance in streamline or laminar blood flow is can also cause slowing of blood, and the then formation of blood. And the next condition is associated with any disease, or associated with any abnormality, which is known as hypercoagulability state. Actually, in this state, your body is more prone toward the clot formation. So it means hypercoagulability state. Hyper mean zyada. So hypercoagulability state means body is more prone toward the clot formation. Hypercoagulability states can be hypercoagulability states may be of acquired, or it may be of due to some genetic mutation. So we will discuss detail about hypercoagulability state in our coming slides. So these three important factors are involved in the formation of thrombus in blood vessels. I am going to do some overview about endothelial injury. We have already discussed in our two previous lectures in detail about activation of endothelium, and the effect of endothelial injury. Some procoagulants, we have already discussed that after activation, endothelium cause procoagulant effect. So procoagulant changes occurs in the endothelium. So after us actually procoagulants changes are the activation of thrombin, and the down regulation of protein C, and the down regulation of thrombodulin 3 protein, and the ultimate activation of platelets. So when platelet gets activated, it can bind with the endothelium, and it can cause clot in the blood vessels. So procoagulant effect, or procoagulant changes in endothelium or after endothelial injury, we have already discussed. I am not going to tell about detail of endothelial or effect of endothelial injury again in this topic. You should learn about previous lectures, and you should learn uh, detail of endothelium and the role of endothelium in both inactivated and activated uh, states or situations. And the other effect was the endothelial injury was and other effect from endothelium injury was antifibrinolytic effect. Antifibrinolytic effect was the stoppage of lysis of fibrin. So stable fibrin can cause formation of stable clots. So antifibrinolytic effect can cause stable clot formation. We have already discussed in endothelium about this point. In our body there is a natural and very beneficial mechanism is present in our body. Actually blood moves in closed circulatory system, and in closed circulatory system our pipes are actually our blood vessels. So inside the blood vessels there are two components of blood are present. Blood is consist of plasma or blood cells, plasma and blood cells. So plasma is actually consist of number of proteins, hormones, enzymes, uh, and on the other hand, cellular part of the blood contain RBCs, WBCs, platelets, and other defensive cells. So from natural side, our body, our cellular part of blood, our cellular part of blood moves in the center. Uh, I am telling you again about this point. Cellular portion of blood moves in the center of the blood vessel, and plasma usually present at the periphery or near to the boundary of the blood vessel. You can observe in the laminar flow of the diagram. Actually this the cellular, when cellular portion moves in center of the blood vessel, and the plasma present at the corners or periphery of the or near to the boundary of the blood vessels, then platelets connection plate then platelet does not bind or does not come in contact with the boundary or endothelium. When platelet does not come in contact with the endothelium, then platelet activation does not happen. So platelet activation is actually happens when platelet come in contact with the endothelium and other important growth factors. So in normal cases, when laminar flow is happening, then there is no dangerous condition. But in second diagram, in second diagram, where is the mention is turbulent flow. Turbulent flow is actually due to any abnormality in the blood vessel, due to any disease or due to any abnormality in the blood vessels. When laminar flow of the blood gets damaged, then blood movement or blood cells come in contact with the endothelium. So when platelets come in contact with the endothelium, then platelets activation gets started. So when platelet this abnormality in the laminar flow of the blood is actually turbulence. So abnormality in the blood flow uh, can cause can cause activation और आप कह सकते हैं कि मोर फेवर कंडीशन फॉर क्लॉट फॉर्मेशन. सो एक्चुअली ये सारे के सारे वो ये एक्चुअली ये मेजर कॉज है डिस्टर्बेंस और ब्लड फ्लो में. इंजरी के बाद ये वाला कॉज मेजर है, ठीक है. सो ये क्वाइड हो सकते हैं, या फिर क्या हुआ है कि जो आर्टरी है, आर्टरी में कोई जैसे आर्थरोस्क्लेरोसिस डिजीज़ है, उसमें क्या होता है, उसमें जो ब्लड वेसल की वॉल है वो जो है हार्ड हो जाती है. सो जब हार्ड हो जाती है तो ब्लड के जो ये मूवमेंट है लैमिनर फ्लो ये डैमेज होता है और टर्बुलेंट फ्लो होता है. जब टर्बुलेंट फ्लो होता है तो then turbulence in flow of blood is actually a favorite condition for the clot formation. So ये इस तरह से फिनोमेना वर्क करता है. So what happens when turbulence blood flow occurs? Both promote endothelial cell activation and enhanced procoagulant activity, in part through flow-induced changes in endothelial gene expression. I have told you that कि जब कभी भी क्या होता है, प्लेटलेट्स या टर्बुलेंस इन फ्लो होती है तो सेल्स जो हैं वो एंडोथीलियम के साथ कनेक्शन में आते हैं. सो जब सेल्स जो हैं एंडोथीलियम के साथ कांटेक्ट में आते हैं, देन एक चेंज आती है जिसे एंडोथीलियम की एक्टिवेशन होती है। और एंडोथीलियम की एक्टिवेशन क्यों होती है? ड्यू टू दिस एबनॉर्मल ब्लड फ्लो। सो व्हेन एबनॉर्मल ब्लड फ्लो अकर्स, जीन एक्सप्रेशन फॉर द एक्टिवेशन, मेरे वर्ड्स पर गौर करें, जब ब्लड फ्लो में क्या होता है, व्हेन एबनॉर्मल ब्लड फ्लो अकर्स, जीन एक्सप्रेशन for the activation of endothelium occurs due to abnormal blood flow। ओके, सो जीन एक्सप्रेशन जो कि एंडोथीलियम को एक्टिव करता है वो किस वजह से होता है? एबनॉर्मल ब्लड फ्लो की वजह से, और वी कैन से टर्बुलेंट फ्लो ऑफ ब्लड की वजह से। देन आ जाता है स्टेसिस। स्टेसिस ऑल्सो प्लेटलेट एंड ल्यूकोसाइट टू कम इन। So there is a minor difference between turbulent flow or the stasis. Stasis actually is actually a state when blood flow gets slower. So speed of blood is also matters in the blood vessels. Slow blood movement in blood vessels can cause uh, clot. Stasis also allows platelet and leukocyte to come into contact with the endothelium when it flow in sluggish. Stasis or sluggish movement of platelets can cause can contact with the endothelium and cause activation of endothelium and other growth factors. So clot formation can occur. Stasis also shows the washout of activated clotting factors and impedes the inflow of clotting factor inhibitors. It means after proper activation of clotting factors, inhibitors must be there for inhibition of clotting factor, but actually due to stasis or abnormal or slow blood flow, inhibitors takes more time to reach at the site of clot. Due to late coming or due to slow or due to impaired uh, flow of inhibitors of clotting factors, clot become more stable or large, and it can damage blood vessel or next organs more as compared to in case of normal situations. Stasis is actually is not सिंपल इज, जैसा कि हमने पढ़ा, इतना सिंपल और इतना पढ़ लेना आसान नहीं होता कि सिर्फ ये 2 या 3 पॉइंट पढ़ लिए हमने तो इस तरह से कोआगुलेशन होगी। जी बड़ा आसान फिनोमेना, वी कैन रिजोल्व दिस मैटर। दिस इज़ नॉट एक्चुअली easy. Stasis or coagulation is actually, or thrombus formation is actually alarming condition for body, because thrombus can damage any part. If thrombus gets detached from the original site, so it can become embolism. So embolism can cause obstruction in anywhere in your circulatory system. So obstruction in any site in the circulatory system can cause disturbance in blood flow, and disturbance in blood flow is dangerous, ultimately dangerous for the whole circulatory system. Another important state is hypercoagulable state. In this state actually your body is already have some some abnormal states or some diseases or some mutation in genes which can cause coagulation in your blood vessels. Actually in case of hypercoagulable state, your body is more prone toward the clot formation, or more prone toward the thrombosis. Actually these hypercoagulable states are of two types. uh, Hypercoagulable states can be or may be inherited, and on the other hand it may be acquired means we will discuss acquired states in our next lecture. I will discuss about a few things about congenital states. We have discussed in our previous lecture of in when I was telling about role of role of endothelium in anti-thrombotic effect. Then you have studied that endothelial cells have specific protein C receptors. When protein C binds with the protein C receptors, then endothelial cells become activated and they stop and they breaks the thrombin. But when protein C deficiency is when protein C is deficient in blood due to mutation in gene which is responsible for the production of protein C, then due to deficiency of protein C, blood clotting protein or anticoagulant effect of anticoagulant effect of blood of endothelium does not happen when when endothelium when anticoagulant effect doesn't happen, then it may can cause clot in a blood vessel easily. But another important thing was deficiency of protein S. You have already studied as protein S act as a cofactor for protein C. Without protein S, protein C is unable to perform its function properly. So if a protein C is present in body in normal amount, but protein C is deficient due to genetic mutations. So, due to genetic mutation, if S is deficient, then protein C will not. Then protein C is also unable to perform normal function due to deficiency of cofactors. So, protein C or protein S deficiency or inherited deficiency of both proteins can lead toward the clot formation in blood vessel. And another important factor is actually the antithrombin deficiency. Antithrombin 3 deficiency. We have already discussed that antithrombin 3 binds with thrombin and cause inactivation of thrombin protein. So, those genes which are responsible for the production of antithrombin 3 proteins undergo any mutation, then antithrombin 3 deficiency occurs. So actually this whole is controlled by the genetics or genes. So a mutation in genes can cause more coagulable, more chances of clot in the um, more chances of clot in blood vessels. And then another important mutation is factor 5 mutation. Actually, in this factor 5 mutation, uh, देर जो कि आपकी बुक कहती है अराउंड 2% to 15% of whites carry a specific factor V mutation called Leiden mutation. uh, in Leiden mutation, it means mutation is actually a change in nucleotide sequence. So in case of factor 5 deficiency, or which genes which are responsible for the production of factor 5 gets mutation. So there then more factor 5 production occurs. More production of factor 5 happens. When factor 5 production increases, then it can cause more chances it can the chances of clot formation becomes इंक्रीज भी सो दे then वो पेशेंट जिनके अंदर फैक्टर 5 और लेडर म्यूटेशन है उनके अंदर थ्रोम्बोसिस के चांसेस जो हैं वो कई फोल्ड्स हाई हो जाते हैं, यूजुअली 5 फोल्ड्स हाई भी हो जाते हैं. देयर इज अनदर कंडीशन इन विच अ सिंगल न्यूक्लियोटाइड सब्स्टिट्यूट मीन सिर्फ एक न्यूक्लियोटाइड का चेंज आता है. वो किस चेंज पे आता है कि एक जीन है जहाँ पर ग्वानिन की जगह एडिनिन आ जाता है. यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड दैट अबाउट ग्वानिन, साइटोसिन, थायमिन, यूरासिल एटसेट्रा. सो चेंज इन रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ guanine with adenine can cause can cause more chances of clot formation due to mutation in prothrombin gene. Actually, prothrombin gene is responsible for the production of prothrombin gene. Prothrombin genes, actually you have already studied at the role of thrombin protein. So prothrombin gene, if a mutation occurs in case of replacement of guanine with adenine, so when adenine adds in the DNA or genes of the prothrombin, then prothrombin become more active, or prothrombin or a patient with more prothrombin gene mutations are more prone toward the clot formation. So those patients which have in those people which have prothrombin gene mutation, अगर वो लोग जो है ज़्यादा अपनी उसमें कंडीशन में रहते हैं, एक लॉन्ग टर्म स्टेबल कंडीशन, कहने का मतलब ये है कि ज़्यादा जैसे कि फ़्लाइट कंडीशन में ज़्यादा देर बैठे रहते हैं चेयर पर, जब वो ज़्यादा देर बैठे रहते हैं तो ऐसे पेशेंट जिनके अंदर प्रोथ्रोम्बिन, ऐसे लोग जिनमें प्रोथ्रोम्बिन जीन में म्यूटेशन है, तो उनमें जो है वेन के अंदर क्लॉट फॉर्मेशन के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं. और ऐसे पेशेंट, ऐसे लोग जो कि प्रोथ्रोम्बिन जीन में म्यूटेशन है जिनमें, लेकिन वो ज़्यादा देर खड़े भी हैं, तो बहुत ज़्यादा देर खड़े हैं, तो उनमें चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं क्लॉट फॉर्मेशन के वेन्स के अंदर. सो म्यूटेशन जो हैं वो जेनेटिकली होते हैं, तो ये कंजेनिटल डिसऑर्डर है. अनदर इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ इज एलिवेटेड लेवल ऑफ होमोसिस्टीन. देयर इज एन enzyme in our body which is the cystathione beta synthase. सॉरी, इसको मैं दोबारा से रिपीट करता हूँ. सिस्टाथायोन बीटा सिंथेसेज. एक्चुअली दिस ये इंजाइम क्या करता है, ये इंजाइम कन्वर्ट करवाता है होमोसिस्टीन को, होमोसिस्टीन से बनाता है सिस्टीन बनाता है. होमोसिस्टीन से आप कह रहे हैं ये एक्चुअली अमाइनो एसिड्स हैं हमारी बॉडी के अंदर, लेकिन क्या होता है, एलिवेटेड लेवल ऑफ होमोसिस्टीन कंट्रीब्यूट्स टू आर्टीरियल एंड वेनस थ्रोम्बोसिस एज वेल एज टू द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एथरोस्क्लेरोसिस. ठीक है. अ, जब कभी भी होमोसिस्टीन बॉडी में ज़्यादा हो जाता है तो वो फिब्रिनोजिन के साथ, जो कि एक हमारी बॉडी में आपको पता है फिब्रिनोजिन का रोल, सो होमोसिस्टीन और फिब्रिनोजिन की क्रॉस लिंकिंग हो जाती है. सो क्रॉस लिंकिंग क्यों हो जाती है, होमोसिस्टीन की पहली बात है प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा क्यों हो जाती है. होमोसिस्टीन की प्रोडक्शन इसलिए ज़्यादा हो जाती है क्योंकि डेफिशिएंसी है किसकी, सिस्टाथायोन बीटा सिंथेसेज एंजाइम की. जब उस सिंथेसेज एंजाइम की डेफिशिएंसी है तो होमोसिस्टीन की ब्रेकडाउन नहीं होती, जिसकी वजह से होमोसिस्टीन ब्लड में ज़्यादा हो जाती है. तो ये ज़्यादा जो होमोसिस्टीन है ये बाइंड करती है किसके साथ, ये फिब्रिनोजिन के साथ क्रॉस लिंकिंग कर लेती है. जब फिब्रिनोजिन और होमोसिस्टीन की क्रॉस लिंकिंग हो जाती है तो ये क्लॉट फॉर्मेशन में बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती है. ठीक है. सो आज तक हमने जो है इतना स्टडी कर लिया. वी विल कवर नेक्स्ट, वी विल कवर अदर थिंग्स इन आवर नेक्स्ट लेक्चर, जो कि इसका जो है थ्रोम्बोसिस का लास्ट लेक्चर भी होगा. देन वी विल गो फॉर सम टेस्ट एंड वाइवास, ताकि आप लोगों की तैयारी चेक की जाए कितनी है. सो आज के लिए इतना ही.